Lesson 45, topic: How to relate to and interact with spiritual entities and space brothers. Appendix. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I wanted to talk to you about the same topic as the previous lesson, but adding information that I couldn't include yesterday. When you interact with spiritual entities that have already passed away, or that belong to the spirit world, by which I mean that they are not alive, not in a coma or in apparent death, but rather have taken the transcendental step of passing from your physical dimension to the spiritual dimension, this is what I am referring to. Yesterday I said that the key word for interacting with them is respect, each in their place, and the Father watching over everyone, so that no one does anything they might regret. Today, I must say, and I repeat, that many people won't like what I am about to say. Don't use your relationships with the spiritual world to gain material benefits. You must become soldiers of the Father, with the mission of doing His will. This will bring you greater benefits, as material gains ultimately produce negative consequences. Just to be clear, avoid using negative spiritual entities. They will promise you material benefits and all sorts of other benefits, but at a very high cost. They will drain your energy, feed off you, and create a strong influence with catastrophic consequences for your health and your energetic body. I don't think I need to say anything more about spiritual entities. I could elaborate much further, but I have said what I needed to say, and I have clearly limited my remarks. You must stick to the script I have given you. Don't invent tricks to gain material benefits, because it will be harmful. Now let's consider the case of the Space Brothers. In this case, the Space Brothers are very different. We can divide them into three groups. The visitors you have on this planet, those with very good intentions, those who are ambivalent, so to speak, with good intentions, but if things go wrong and they have to act maliciously, they do so, thinking only of their own benefit, and those with very bad intentions. In the case of those with good intentions, they will tell you what can be done or what they think they can do for you. They are only thinking of your benefit, but with the script given to them by the Father, regarding what they can and cannot do. In this case, you will not be able to gain any material benefit from them. They are not negative spirits, but quite the opposite. They only want your good, the evolution of humanity to a point as close as possible to the Father. Do not try to obtain too much profound knowledge in the initial communications. They are eager to communicate with you, eager to deliver the Father's message, but the information they can give you is very limited. It depends on your level of understanding and the mission you are meant to carry out. Therefore, do not rush them to give you knowledge. Be patient. They will gradually reveal the knowledge you can assimilate. Pay attention to the exercises they suggest. This will accelerate your spiritual growth in the initial phases of your communication with them. In the first place, your only interest is seeing their ships, the crew members, and if possible, something more. This sometimes happens, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on your spiritual level. If they perceive that your ability depends on your level of faith in them, they will trigger sightings, but always limited to what you can see. Let me explain. It's not good for you to see too much of the ships in the initial stages of communication with them. Your minds are still not fully adapted to their energy, so the communication isn't of good quality. This results in a low level of information assimilation, which is why the sightings in the early stages are limited to seeing flying objects, lights, and all sorts of objects, even during the day. In a later phase, you will encounter the crew members. You will be able to see them and speak with them, but always with only a very faint memory. A strong memory of such an event could drive you mad and lead you astray. What usually happens, especially in this phase with certain individuals who possess great potential abilities, is that without much memory of what occurs, they are taken from their resting place while they sleep to a dimension beyond Earth, where they are easily transported when energetic conditions allow. There, various surgical processes of all kinds are performed on their mind and body. This is very common, and that is why you have so many cases of people who remember things at night. In a later phase, if the group is very large, it tends to dissolve, and in that case, communication would only occur with the most capable individuals, leaving the group with fewer members. The tendency, therefore, is to create smaller groups, more capable people. This, in turn, would be the seed of another new group, since from this smaller but more capable group, more coherent messages would emerge, and therefore communication with the rest of your kind would be simpler and more likely, because being more truthful to your consciousness, you absorb them better. What happens next depends on the evolution of each group and the mission it has to carry out. If we consider the current situation and the future in the medium to long term, we could say that the tendency will be to form small groups, but full of highly capable people, and from these groups, messages must emerge to be disseminated into the largest possible number of people. This will cause, or rather we want to cause, the number of individuals in each group to increase, but always maintaining the consistency of the messages. Therefore, we don't want new members to become too involved. That will be the trend in the future. What we do want is for the communication of the messages that will be produced, many of them and from many groups of course, to be rapid. This is our instrument for changing reality. The big problem we have in this case is that you don't know how to distinguish the brothers and the sisters within each group. They all seem to have good intentions to give coherent messages and to only want what's best for you and your positive evolution toward the Father. The best way to know which group each brother of space belongs to is by communicating with the Father, asking them if they are good or bad, what intentions they are or have. He will answer you. For this to work, there must be a high level of meditation in someone within the group, and that person must become your spokesperson to the Father or vice versa, and that person must find out the answer. This is the best way I have to know which group each brother of space with whom you are communicating belongs to. Likewise, intuition, if you have it well connected to the Father and the universe, can reveal this truth through meditation. This is always also a way to know. In the end, it's the same as the first method. You must establish communication with the universe and let it give you the answer. Now let's talk about the second group. Those who have good intentions, and they can also have bad ones, depending on their intentions and any hidden perverse plan they may have. In this case, the messages will be very similar to those of the Space Brothers in the first group. They will be coherent and all alike. The intention of the messages is for spiritual evolution toward the Father, but there will be an important difference. This group only wants the groups to be as small as possible, with a clear leader. They will try to ensure that this leader is easily manipulated, has no communication with the Father, and cannot know the truth. They will try to ensure that this group leader has blind faith in these Space Brothers from the second group, and that they possess enough strength and personality to overpower the other personalities in the group. They want to become little dictators within the group, and they are using this individual who has the ability to communicate with them and the personality to manipulate the entire group. They will try to keep the group of people capable of communicating with them as small as possible, so that it is more easily manipulated. From this point on, they will try to make the group large, attempting to create a clear hierarchical structure. Don't be surprised if one day they decide to change their minds and start asking for strange things they didn't ask for at the beginning. Having manipulated the group before, they can do it again. And then, with these false intentions, they can clearly manipulate you because they have all the members under their control. This is what you must avoid: strong personalities who control the group and don't allow others to think for themselves. Above all, maintain communication with the Father so that he can tell you the truth. You must flee from this second group. Intuition will also serve you well. because some of you who have an open intuition in communication with the universe and with the Father will be able to tell you whether this brother from space is trustworthy or not. If it is necessary to cut ties as soon as possible, don't prolong the communication because their intentions are hidden. These types of space brothers, civilizations don't care about harming their followers, especially when they are taken from their resting place on Earth to a parallel dimension or a ship near Earth. They don't care about leaving bad memories. They feed, as do some other civilizations, on the negative feelings and fear that they are creating in these individuals. As for their sightings, these space brothers might create, they will be more spectacular than those of the first group, because they will want to attract as many people as possible, making their faith in them so strong that they can't or won't ask the universe if they are good or bad. Therefore, run from those who promise you intense sensations, enormous sightings, and in the initial stages of communication with them, promise you encounters with the crew. They only want to manipulate you and keep you under control. This could be a way for them to control who is good and who is bad. Now, let's move on to the third group. These beings will try to create coherent messages that speak of humanity's positive evolution, and that they are here to help you, and that sightings will be more or less conspicuous depending on the individuals they are communicating with. They want to deceive you from the beginning, but they also don't want you to realize the deception too quickly. Therefore, their strategy will depend on the group of individuals, their level of belief, and their level of communication. Meditate and contact the Father and ask Him what they are like, what their intentions are. These space brothers are usually aggressive. Once they have gained the trust of the individuals, especially when they are taken from their resting place to the ship, they subject them to great pain because they want to achieve rapid hybridization. They want to achieve rapid evolution using genetic engineering, creating new species adapted to the use they intend for the new individuals. They don't care about making the created individuals and the individuals they are using to extract samples suffer. They only want to obtain living beings they can manipulate, use as workers on their planets they have conquered, and in the event of an invasion of Earth, they need a hybrid species they can manipulate, one that is superior to humanity and allows them to control the planet as an intermediary. In this group of space brothers, they usually have good communication with all human individuals. They are not very demanding. They know how to adapt to the minds of humans who are not so sensitive. This is a quality that the space brothers of the first and second group lack. The space brothers of this group tend to have great mental strength. They are also so manipulative that they leave no freedom whatsoever to the individual listening to them. They know how to operate with their minds to deceive them and make it seem like they have good communication, which is a lie, because good communication stems from the mental strength of these space brothers, not from the human individual listening, having the necessary capacity to communicate with them. What this process is that if this human individual doesn't do what's necessary to have a strong mind, this level of communication is destroying them, exhausting their mind, and by engaging in this communication, they are becoming addicted to this energy that the space being is using to communicate with you. There is a very simple way to avoid this. If you are meditating at a deep level, you obviously have the ability to ask the universe or the Father, and they will tell you which group these space beings belong to. And if you also have an open door, a good connection to the Father, simply by asking the question and undergoing the process of the mind's ascension to these higher dimensions, you will be able to see what is really happening, and they won't be able to surprise you. The strategy these space brothers of the third group employ is to make the human individuals who communicate with them so addicted to this type of energy and so utterly faithful that they don't want to question what is really happening, what their intentions are, or what their purpose is. The humans communicating will feel very happy because it has a very high mental level. The problem will be that when they stop communicating with these space brothers, their minds will be in a complete mess, and it will be difficult to restore. Therefore, my advice is that if you are in the situation I am describing, you still have time to cut it off. Your mental health is the most important thing. Finally, I must say that my medium is already quite exhausted and I don't want to exhaust him any further. He has to work tonight on a long battle we are planning. I just want to tell you that the most important thing for protection when communicating with spiritual entities is to meditate. The Father doesn't want any harm to come to you. He wants you to learn the right path. The best way to reach him is through meditation. It will protect you from all harm. The spiritual master will know what information to give you to guide you along the right path, one that is beneficial for your evolution and causes no harm or exhaustion of any kind. I think that's enough for today. In the next lesson, I will discuss the places in the astral plane near Earth that also share space within the planets of your solar system. So, until next time, brothers and sisters.